Well, welcome everybody. As always, super excited to be here. The cadence of the design of doing a Sunday night call is on purpose for a couple of different reasons. It's always difficult to decide, the best time per week to run a mastermind, to run a call, and there's different psychology behind every single day of the week and every single time that you can choose. But one of the things that we thought about when we did this was first and foremost, what is it that we are trying to accomplish? And so the end of a Sunday for many people is kind of, a day of rest. It's a day to bookend the weekend. It's the start of another week. And this is something that can serve two purposes, right? So the first purpose of this is actually to be with people at a time of discomfort. So there are many, many people that are not with us yet that will be in the future, where Sunday night is kind of a letdown. It's like the start of the new week. We got to get back to reality. We got to go back to work, and it actually functions as a pain point for many, many, many people all across the country, all around the world. Because how many people do we know who are not truly connected to what it is that they're spending their time doing vocationally, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of people, and if you've been with us before, you've heard me talk about this idea that most of the design of our culture is designed when you grow up, right? Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you grow up, whatever age that is, even if you're having a second coming or a second life, quarter life crisis, midlife crisis, later life crisis, whatever. Maybe you're in your second or third career. Maybe you're looking for a second or third career. The sequence always goes like this, and my experience always was that people would ask, hey, what do you want to be, or what do you want to do? And then there's like this whole list of vocational items that you could do, and then you have to pick one, right? You're like, well, maybe I'll just like go into computer science, or maybe I'll go into nursing, or whatever the case may be. Oh, I heard construction pays well, right? And so then usually most of those vocations just spit out an income, right? So like if I say, hey, how much does a nurse make, off the top of your head, you might have an idea of what a nurse makes. Hey, if you want to, what does a doctor make? Hey, what does a insurance person make? And there's all these different vocations that exist. And then what happens is that usually those vocations tend to spit off a range of income, and we get this circle. We get this picture of income. It's like when I was growing up, somebody that was educated might earn over six digits. Like, it's like, so the idea that, okay, if we have a college degree, right, or that we go into a white collar profession now, it's interesting how sometimes even the blue collar vocations are paying better than the business vocations, the white collar vocations. But as things go, you wind up having kind of this circle, which is this is the vocation, this is what it pays, and then this is the life that you can fit inside of that. And that happens to be the model that the vast majority of people are going through their life living. It's not bad, it's not good, it just is what it is. So the premise of doing something like this, the premise of a side hustle, the premise of a business on the side, is, what if you could re-engineer that model? What if you could sit down with those that you love, with yourself, with those dreams that still live within you? What if you could sit down and you could say to yourself, what is it that I'd really like to do in the next 10 years? If I could wave a magic wand and I could knock out the things on my bucket list, right? Like, most people are going to have some things in common with what are on those bucket list items. That could include acts of charity and contribution. That could include trips with family members. Sometimes we want to take our parents on trips they've never had the opportunity to go on, right? Maybe we want to take our kids places that they've never been before. Maybe we want to travel with a spouse if we haven't had the chance to do that before, right? Like, some people want to take a honeymoon. Some people want to take a second honeymoon. Some people want to renew vows, you know what I mean? Buy a 25-year diamond for their bride, right? There's so many things that each and every person tend to, if you ask enough people, what dream is left inside of you. And so the premise of a business like this is to say, okay, we'll outline all of that. Does traveling the country in a luxury RV sound like something you'd like to do in the next 10 years? Is having a second home or a cabin or a condo somewhere something that you'd like to do? Is maybe, setting up your adult children in with down payment so that they can get into this crazy housing market? Is that something that you want to do? Like, everybody has something, probably, for the most part. I'd say if you interview 100 people, I'd say 93 out of 100 people have something in them that they'd still like to do, and they may or may not be sure whether they're going to get the opportunity to do it. So the idea again with the business like this is say, instead of choosing the vocation and instead of, the income that vocation spits out, and instead of fitting your life into that circle, let's say, what is the dream that I have left in me? And just like that great saying is to say, don't die with the music still in you. And that's a metaphor for so many different things. It's like, what is that dream that's left? And then what do we have to create in order to fulfill that? And so that's where now you start to take it one step further and you say, okay, I would like to fully fund this retirement account. I would like to fully fund these college accounts. I would like to pay to take my family, the extended family, the kids and the grandkids on a trip to, these three major destinations over the next 6 years. We want to go to Europe. We want to go to Australia. We want to go to Hawaii, right? Like just throwing all these different ideas out there. And so it's like, now you start to think, okay, what's it going to cost to take, the 4 kids and the spouses and the 10 grandkids to Australia? It's like, okay, so now you're looking at airfare and you're looking at hotels and you're how long do you want to go? You want to go for 3 weeks, right? So you got to make sure the bills are paid for the 3 weeks. And you start to say, and you come up with this number. You're like, we need $65,000 to take everybody to Australia. Perfect. There's no limit to what this business can produce. And that's one of the most beautiful things about it, is that whatever you can dream, you can achieve in a business model like this, because this business model honors a couple of different things that most people that have found themselves stuck financially have not ever gotten the chance to actually have their hand in. The first thing is to have leverage. And so leverage can be articulated as many different things, but leverage is ultimately the ability to get paid on something that's bigger than yourself. We are so accustomed in this country and in this world to literally do a job, get paid a wage, do a job, get paid a wage, write a contract, get paid a commission, write a contract, get paid a commission, And so really, if you look at the mechanics of wealth, to start to get into this place where all of a sudden you're not looking at, ordering from the menu on the right side, right? You're not looking at the dollars. You're ordering the lobster because it sounds right. You're not worried about what market value is. To get to that place, for the most part, people who live that lifestyle have done it because they are earning profit, not wages. And the way to get into big profits is, of course, to have leverage. The second thing that this business has that's incredible is it has global reach. So there's tons and tons of people that we probably know, whether it doesn't matter what part of the country that you live in, that have successful businesses. They're successful contractors, they're successful realtors, they're successful insurance people, they're successful, doctors. There's all the different people. What all of those, I would say, can be and are typically high-paying vocations. But what's the one thing that none of them have in common? They don't have national or global reach. So there's a limitation to how big any of those things can be. Now, if you're a world-class contractor running a world-class construction company in Beverly Hills, there's probably enough money in luxury housing in Beverly Hills to be able to build massive, massive businesses. But those massive businesses come with other complications. And the third piece of the puzzle that this has is it has the ability to pay residual income. And the reason it has that ability is for 2 reasons. First and foremost is because we sell, consume, and market a product that is a womb to tomb product. Anybody, just like we were talking about at the beginning of this call, who consume the greens on a daily and weekly basis, this isn't a product that you take for a week and then you're done with it. This is a product that you incorporate in your day-to-day routine, shake and take, and you enjoy it this week, next month, and on for life, right? And so as you go out and you build your customer base, as you go out and you start to build your team who also are building customer bases, now you have people that are consuming this on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. And so as they continue to reorder, all of those reorders in perpetuity, so all those reorders based off of what you do today, what you do tomorrow, what you do this month, what you do this year, will be linked to you in perpetuity. And so that becomes now residual income that continues to pay you week after week, month after month. And the last piece of the puzzle is the very action of the leverage and the residual income. So as we build this on a big global scale, what's going to eventually happen is that this is a business that is different than anything else that exists, because it's a business that starts with you, but it doesn't end with you. See, all you are really is a coach and a mentor and a catalyst to help expand channels of distribution first in your state, then in your country, then in your continent, then in the globe, right? And what ultimately starts to happen is that it might start with your dream, but eventually what happens is that leaders in your business are going to connect with a dream of their own. And they're going to start to think to themselves, you know what? I don't even care if Jason does the business because I'm doing the business, because I want to plan those trips, because I want to drive that car, because I want to move to that zip code, because I want to put my kids in that private school. And then what happens is that now that's part of your global business. And so not only are you earning this residual income that's generated from these subscriptions and from the consumption of this great product, but you have leaders where this business and this income and this model makes a difference in their world, and it makes a difference with their dreams. And you're just, lucky enough basically to earn a small override as a result of being the person who was the catalyst, right? Think of yourself as the match that's going to start the forest fire, not the forest fire itself, right? And so the last piece of the puzzle that I'm going to add, and Kevin's going to jump in here, we had a great conversation today talking about what is it really going to take to make your dreams become a reality. I think a lot of people right now, for a number of different reasons, whether it's their career or whether it's inflation or whether it's the housing market or whether it's, some of these different economic factors that are pressing upon us, people are feeling a sensation of feeling like they don't have options. They're feeling a feeling like they're feeling stuck. And it's happening across the board in socioeconomic scales. It's not just a challenge of the lower class, right? This is happening in all different categories and brackets and for a number of different reasons. And so one thing we've learned is that you can have a desire, you can have a dream, you can have an idea, but until you have chosen a new behavior, you haven't actually made a decision. So Kevin's going to talk a little bit about that behavior. And before he does, what I'm going to leave you with is this. As you're building this business, we always talk about how do you generate a durable dream. And part of a durable dream is not only being attached to the things that you want to create for yourself, but it's understanding why are we choosing which tools and which vehicles to do that. And one thing that has become really evident to me recently is the truth that a lot of people are missing and forgetting why it is that we're choosing this particular business, this particular vehicle, because what's happening out there in the world is that we are being encouraged massively by this idea of e-commerce. We're being encouraged massively by this idea of, entrepreneurship. We're being encouraged massively by this idea of influencers. And although any and every single one of those ideas is fantastic, there's people having success everywhere. The number one thing that I think that people are missing, and we have to remember this so that we can effectively communicate it ourselves, is that we are not doing this business just to create a second income. We're not doing this business just to create a bigger income. We're doing this business for one specific reason, and it goes all the way back to what Robert Kiyosaki used to teach about in the cash flow quadrant, is that 95% of people are competing for 5% of the money. And 95% of people keep themselves stuck in employment or self-employment for life. And yet the other side of the spectrum is where 95% of the money is, but only 5% of the people are. And what we have to remember about that is to get to that side, we have to ultimately become one of two things. We have to become a B-type business owner, which a B-type business owner is a business that creates profit for us with scale and with systems so that it can operate without us even when we're not there. And then ultimately to the investment quadrant, which is where you have enough money and resources that are generating you a return on that money and resource that you can live from the returns. And what's so important about this, the reason I bring it up right now, is that there are so many people that have made the mistake of diminishing the home-based business space, the network marketing space, by saying, oh, why don't you just, start a course, or why don't you just do, an Amazon drop shipping course, or why don't you just flip things on Amazon, or why don't you just go to the Goodwill and pick stuff up and resell it, or why don't you just do all these different types of businesses? But the challenge is that if you really dissect what those are, yes, they might be higher paying. Yes, you might be able to generate profit, but every single one of those categories that exists out there that people are being encouraged to do, even being influencers on social media, even just going out and representing different products or creating a personal brand, it is glorified self-employment. And I'm not against it. I am all for firing your boss, taking your time back, working for yourself. But remember, as you go out there and as you talk about the greens and as you talk about the company and you talk about your vision and you talk about where you want to go, that when this grows, when this turns into layered leadership, when it turns into leaders leading leaders leading leaders, when it turns into global commerce and you're earning overrides while Asia's going to sleep and South America is waking up and Japan is doing business and so forth and so on around the clock, this gives you the benefit of a B type business, not self employment, but the benefit of a B type business, which is getting paid again from the efforts of other people and systems. And it does it with no liability. It's so incredible to think about this. There's no liability in a company like this. When you have a position, a distributorship, you can, we have friends who earn multiple seven digits annually in businesses like this. And there's no liability. Think about this. If you have a traditional company that has 500 employees, you're going to have a baseline level of liability, which is basically your overhead, your work, your insurance, your just everything, all of the overhead that it requires to run that company, your payroll on a weekly basis, and it's like, if your revenues dip below a certain amount, all of a sudden now that liability does not go away. And so it's the business owner ultimately that has the risk, because if they get upside down in that, then of course that's how you see companies run out of cash flow and run out of business. In this business, you could have an organization that's international that's doing $2 or $3 million a month in revenues, and your revenues could get cut in half and you have no liabilities. There's no downside. Literally, the only thing that you have to do to keep your business running is to market to new customers, gather a few influence, and buy product for yourself to consume and share. That's it. So that's kind of the end of what I wanted to really hit on tonight. But just remember that while yes, we want to identify with the people that want to add an extra income, while yes, we want to identify with influencers that might want to promote our product, while yes, we want to, teach people maybe to start a side business so that they, on top of what they're already doing, so that they can increase their household take home, remember that this is not like so many of the other avenues that people are out there getting distracted by. And so that you can have an added level of confidence as you go out to build this channel, because if you get this done 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, what this type of income can do for you is unlike anything else I have ever seen. And I've studied a fair amount of different models and a fair amount of different business. So Kevin, jump into now turning that dream into a reality for you. But hopefully that's some really helpful stuff.
Thank you so much. Well, before you mute yourself, we were standing outside of the gym this afternoon. Serendipity, I went to the gym with my wife, and Peyton walks through the door, and we have this powerful conversation. And I find myself in a unique position in my personal and my financial life. And Peyton said something that I've played over and over. We're standing out front right next to where my car was, and you said the thing that influencer guy said, who has like not that many followers online. So we were talking about how many people look so loud online. So will you say that again really fast?
Yeah, I have a friend who's who does a lot of commerce, and what's interesting is if you look at, like, he puts out a lot of content that's very valuable as far as business concepts, and his following, like the amount of people that follow him, is very low compared to the amount of revenue. And this is a person, he's like not that old. He's doing multiple 8-figure revenue per year with massive, massive profit margins. So if you think about that, I mean, like millions and tens of millions of dollars in revenue, huge profit margins. And there were so many people, if you look at his page, first of all, he only has like less than a couple thousand followers total, and doing literally 8-figure revenues. And second, he gives a lot of good advice about business. And if you look at his page, there's so many comments from people that are just dismissing him and blowing him off. They're like, yeah, sure, bro. Like, keep on saying it and blah, 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 blah. And just like, they're basically like, yeah, right. Like the guy that has 1,100 followers or 1,600 followers knows anything. And it's just such a perfect example that the loudest voices are not the ones that are necessarily right. Like, would you rather be right or would you rather be rich? And I think sometimes that idea or that fear that people have some shit to say basically about our business, for lack of a better word, keeps us from moving forward, remembering that the people who have accomplished what we are setting out to accomplish in this company live a lifestyle that is second to none. And I know that from being around them, from seeing their asset column, from seeing how they actually structure their life. And it's just important to remember that not all that we see is as it seems.
That's true. Thank you. I appreciate that, Peyton. That was
Yeah.
the point I was wanting to illustrate in that. I see so many people in this industry and in this world that are so loud, and then they're off to this deal, that deal, the other deal. And it can wreck your belief when you see that. And then I think, are they in a better thing? I need to go look at their plan. I need to dissect it and see how it works. And over this last year, I've seen all of our competition, both mainstream as well as within this industry. And I've like open-mindedly took a look at it. I'm a numbers guy. I look at the way the money pays because it dictates your behavior. And it's really an interesting thing when you look at that industry right now. You've got companies going out of business, companies merging with other companies because of cash flow issues. You've got the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Federal Trade Commission going on a witch hunt after different companies. You have companies that are major names in that industry that are folding up, that are trying to find funding, that are in buyouts. There's so many variations of our competitors and the industry in almost like a hemorrhaging sort of aspect, which I found interesting because inflation's high. It looks like people need health. People have died from heart-related things in an astounding number over the last 2 or 3 years, people close to me. I just lost a #1 money earner of a multi-level marketing company for 39 years. She passed away, like I was there like a week ago. And it's been heartbreaking for me. And the residual survived her. The residual survivor, she's my family member, heart-related illness, quit taking the greens. It's like we have the ability to save lives, but nobody has what we have. And here's what I found interesting out of the entire industry. Dan Putnam. Dan Putnam has a company called Be Epic. I love his products. I love some of what he's got going on. Their company is like 15 or 20% growth compared to all of these other companies that are going away. Dan's so many years ahead of everybody psychologically. The company that I built, that I made the most money in and was in for the longest period of time, was one he put together for someone else. And he was like 20 years ahead of everybody back then. Well, if you look at all the trends, he's so on it when it comes to that. And I look at like where we are now in this company, and it's like, if you were here in the beginning, and almost everyone on tonight's call was there in the beginning, it was one product, one story, one message, one focus, greens. And the idea was, it pays 25 times more money to get a customer than it does to get someone to do the business. Yet the business is a matrix, and the matrix is the socialism of multi-level plans. The matrix is the one that pays the most checks. The matrix is the one that once it starts going, that 3 who get 3 thing starts to go really fast. But the fatal flaw of most matrix companies is it's like a fad. It like grows really big and then it goes away. The things that he installed in this company, with the 3 years of auto ship to get global profit sharing in 2% of the company, that is 100% still a thing, will be a thing, and is a thing. That's huge. 2 is our price point. We are cheaper than our mainstream competition. Do you know the deal that their influencers have? It's 20% on the first order commission one time, nothing in perpetuity. We pay 50% every time. So if we were competing with the influencer e-commerce brand ambassador model, we're more than double, and it reoccurs. Yet no one's having that conversation with those people that create health-related content day after day. $25 for them and $1 for the sponsor on those customers. Name one other company that has anything like that. That's the part everyone here is overlooking. Because if I go have the conversation about the business, I encounter resistance unless you've done something like this before and understand what we have. But I don't mind asking the question of, hey, what are you doing as the building block for your nutrition? Like daily. What are you spending in supplements? Daily. Hey, what are you doing to offset the coming calamity this fall for your immune system? Looks like they want to corona us again. I'm not sure, but I'm sure hearing a lot about it. And if they're going to try to come at us on that, the best thing we could do is to arm our immune systems. And the best thing we can do to arm our immune systems is to make our body in an alkaline state and give it a bunch of the things that it requires. I have something that'll save you money. I've got a coupon code and you should be drinking this anyways. That conversation is so easy. They try it. It doesn't taste as gross as they thought it was. And they drink it and then they're excited. They want to get some. You got a customer. So much easier to transition a customer into an influencer. But psychologically, to go from $25 to $1, you better be serious about doing the business or I want you to be my customer. So it changes the nature of the way that it goes. But when it hit me, and I started thinking about it, I'm like, I have a friend that has 386,000 followers on what he does on social media. If he got 100,000 customers, I would make $100,000. He would make 25 times 100,000, and that's a lot more money than what we were just talking about. The reality of our plan and the way that it works, it's the best parts of a matrix, the best parts of what e-commerce does, and it has that check match. So the way that Dan designed it, it's like people, I've heard this over and over, I'm not going to do this. I did all this work, I get $1. And I'm like, they're short-sighted and they don't see it. I do phenomenal in my life, in income, or so I thought, and I can't afford the house that I want. I need an additional revenue stream. And if somebody said, hey, listen, I've got a brand that's launching. No one in your state knows about it yet. Not really. Maybe save it be 100 or 200 people, but no one's doing anything about it yet. And then somebody would say, oh, well, there's been a lot of changes. Well, I need this detail, that detail, the other detail. I just want a lot of people drinking those greens because, I mean, and maybe this is hyperbole, maybe this is inference, maybe it's conspiracy. I don't know, but I just feel like with an election year like 2020 was, we had a pandemic, we had supply chain shortages, we had hyperinflation, we experienced all sorts of divorce and death, and we experienced a whole bunch of things that took place. But the stock market ran up, the real estate market did phenomenal, and so the rich got richer, and there was a massive gap between everyone else and that, and they divided us, and it was just this giant thing for an election. Like distract, divide, and disconnect. And they did a great job of that. Well, that's next year. And it looks like it's going to be more than what 2020 was. I don't know what it is. Maybe they tell us there's aliens. Maybe they tell us that there's a pandemic that's not as bad and it kills a lot of people. Maybe what I've been reading is a live virus this time. Well, that scares me because that means that everybody would be contagious. And if that's the case, the best thing we can do to protect ourselves and our family and the people we care about is to get the basic building block of nutrition set up in their life. And it's probably cheaper than what they're spending and it's more efficient. So if they do that, they get a good protein and they get a good fat in their diet, they check the box for their human body for their day. That could save so many lives. So from the standpoint of like a mission or a cause, I know that once a matrix starts to go, and I think our biggest hole is that when someone got involved in the business, we didn't grab them by the hand, show them in onboarding how to log in, how to get to their auto ship, how to get coupon codes developed, how to help them make like 10 or 20 invitations to get their first few customers. And then on top of it, to help someone get a sale, to get somebody to do a testimonial. This is to onboard. And yet we didn't do that before. So the emphasis heavy as signing up is to onboard them. And that will minimize the customer service aspect. That will minimize the retention or what is it called? Attrition. The retention will increase. And it's like as simple as taking someone and explaining what we have and how good it is. I signed somebody up this week. He builds homes. He's a general contractor. He owns multiple framing crews. He makes good money. He lives in like a 6,500 square foot home. And yet he wants to do this to get out of that. And he believes in the aspect of taking care of your nutrition and the people that you care about. Our competition's value proposition and offer looks like this. Hey, I have a product that costs more than what's in the stores. I have a product that costs more than my competitors because I'm making money on it. So are a bunch of other people. And I'm going to now proceed to talk you into why you need this product when I know you won't stay on it long term unless you make money. This is the offer of our competition in this space. We are not like that. We are fundamentally the only one in our class that is a product that's actually good and is priced below online, below mainstream, below this industry, and below anything else. If I took a look at what it would take to start a company, what it would take to launch a brand, what it would take to create my own thing, the fact that someone so much smarter than me has the global reach and infrastructure and funding to do it, that they're willing to assume the liability, and all I have to do is go share it with people in my town, people in other towns, and that's as simple as finding a few people that have strong circles of influence, and once it does, it grows past me, and all that is going 3 by 3, teaching them to go 3 by 3, and then doing it again. That's not that hard. If you really care, it's not that hard. $100,000 a year is like 400 customers? 400 customers. You could go to an expo and sit there and thousands of people will walk past you. And it's statistically possible to do that in a weekend at some kind of an expo or a fair or something. No one's doing that. This coming year, mark my words, all the things are getting put into place that need to be for onboarding. 3 packages, a 59, an 89, and a 6-month qualification package with 6 bags. A SKU that allows us to get a bunch of test strips that we can order with our package. So we can do home tastings, home parties, a green juice party where everybody tests their levels, everybody tries some, and we duplicate house meetings of just get a bunch of people together and get everybody on the greens. And we'll test the levels, we'll have them watch a couple quick videos, and real simple, not cliche or trite, simple. It's like, yeah, I could have 20 or 30 people over. The way I'll do it is it'll be a potluck and everybody will bring something. And we'll have a nice time, and it won't just be some business thing. It'll be all of it. And it'll be like, watch a couple videos, see why you need this. We're getting customers. Who do you know that would be somebody you think would be a customer? Because if you get 3, you get your product free, and make it about that. And if anybody wants to do the business, hey, we've got an interesting conversation there. Watch this video. It's like 3 minutes. If you're not interested, just tune it out. But here's this. Simple to duplicate, 3 by 3, and the home meetings leading to a larger meeting, a physical event system. Because if you gave me the choice to have 2 million followers on my social media, or you gave me the ability to have a group that I had to go visit in person in real life and jump on a call to do all those things, I would choose the latter. I'd rather never post about this on social media, never use social media, and build it in person, real life with people that need this. Because truth be told, people 35 and up in age need this product. And the older they are, the more they need this. And the more it will have an effect and a benefit on their lives. And the people that are the most apt to listen to the mainstream and be led down the wrong path and not take their health as serious are the people that err on the later side of things. So it's almost like a moral obligation to share this with people, because we legitimately are saving lives. We legitimately are improving the quality of people's lives. We're saving people money on insulin. There's so many things that happen as a byproduct of being a part of this. And it's like, oh, in order to launch a brand like this, I need to find people with strong circles of influence and share this with them. So I got to put sticks in the mail. I need to send some videos out to some people, but the fastest thing I can do is to schedule a thing at my house, invite a bunch of people to the house, and then just do it. If you ever needed someone to zoom in, I'd zoom in on anybody. If you want, I'll be your guest at the thing. Peyton will be your guest, however you want to do it. But it's as simple as a video. And if that starts to go, 3 by 3 goes nuts. But the difference here, and I don't think anyone could see it yet, is the check match will be so much larger here on so many little checks. Based on when I look at my check, the percentage of check match is greater earlier than anything I've ever seen, that I think the check match will be larger than the matrix pay. And I think the $1 bonuses you're making from other people's customers will be greater than the matrix pay. And everyone complains about the matrix pay, and I'm like, they're short-sighted. They don't see it. They don't get it. Just go 3 by 3 and then do it again and do it 3 more times. Forget all the details. Get lost in getting customers, because when it all shakes out, there will be profoundly more customers than there will be influencers. And your check will be that long-term sustained residual income from people that will never stop taking our product, because it saves them money, it blesses their life, And it's a no-brainer. No other company has that. Not even close. Like, we got to talk to more people. We got to talk to more people. That's all I'm saying. And it's like, we are probably 30 days away from the things. So with that being said, the thing that I want to end with is an accountability thing for myself. I am going to make the Facebook group that's called We Live Active go live today. Ah, I just said it. Now I have to do it. We have to record a couple videos for that to create a little content, but we're going to use that as the main online. So if there are people that want to add some people to a Facebook group to get some information, that'll be there. The YouTube channel that we've created from every one of these calls we've ever done on a myriad of topics, from inviting to prospecting to recruiting to following up to building a list, cultivating a list, presenting a list, training, so many elements of this, whether philosophical, technical, mechanical, they're on the YouTube channel. This will be our 47th week of this call. There are 47 other videos on the YouTube channel. It's turning into a resource for people, and it's free. It's just there. I mean, maybe they don't want to hear it. Maybe they do. I don't know. But we've got videos on just about everything. There's a resources tab on that YouTube channel that has some things like, there's a Tony Robbins talk I put up there on alkalinity. Is one of the best things he ever did. If you listen to that, you'll buy green juice for the rest of your life, because you'll understand the most cutting edge science in a dark field microscope, what's happening to your blood, your body, and all that aspect in regards to what happens when you drink greens and why you should be drinking greens. I love using that to sustain my customers. Once they've listened to that, they never stop taking the product. It's just one of those things. So as this starts to progress, I can't not see it this way. That Facebook group will have hundreds of thousands of people. This call will have thousands of people. We have not missed this call no matter what. Every Sunday since we started, no matter what. It's like, I didn't join this industry to go from company to company to company. I've been in 3 companies in my entire life, and I stayed the course in them. I will be here if everybody else quits. I will still do this call if no one else is on. That's just what I've committed to. That's what we are doing. I'm here in Utah. I'm on the ground. Peyton had 2 meetings in the last week with Travis as they're mapping out some of the components for where it's going next. We're just waiting in line for the programmer to finish programming a couple of things, and then we've already begun the prospecting, the recruiting part, and we're going to take it more so on a personal level. My neighbor across the street just put surveillance cameras up that watch my little kids all day. It's creepy. That was my creepy neighbor. And now I don't feel safe in my home anymore. If I took all of the financial assets that I have and liquidate them, and I sold my house and I pull all the equity out, based on what has happened, I would triple my monthly payment to make a move in today's market based on what I would have to do. And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I need more cash flow. I need a larger sum of money to accomplish this next phase. And I want to create that quick. And so I've looked at every option that's out there, and the option that requires the least amount of, what is the word I'm looking for? Liability, participation, but generates the most money is this. It's so much greater than anything else in this space or anything remotely similar to it that I'd be an idiot not to take this and run with it. And so from the standpoint of my own personal self, it's time for that Facebook group to go live. The Facebook group will be the same as the website. It'll be the same as the thing. It'll all feed in. The 5 non-negotiables will become more like a mission statement, less like something you're trying to sell as training. It's all about greens. It's all about active. My cousin passes away. I've never known someone to be as healthy. I've never known someone to have more supplements. I've never known someone to eat from the organic farm she gets her produce from and gets it straight to there. They have all the devices in for the air quality, for the EMF, literally like the poster child for health and wellness. And they passed away 30 years too soon. 30 years too soon. Because they weren't active. If you're not active, all the stuff in the world doesn't matter. One of the best things we can do is go for a walk, get some steps in. We can do a couple push-ups. do a couple sit-ups, do a couple air squats. But like, if we are not active, we will pass away prematurely. This isn't just about greens, but the greens opens the door to weight loss. The greens opens the door to physical body healing. The greens opens the door to like more quality rest. And then it opens the door to being a little more active. An active mind, an active heart, an active body, an active financial blueprint, an active business. It's all going to coincide so well. If you're part of this in the beginning, some of the biggest leaders that join the business might happen in your group, but we got to do the work. It's like Peyton said. I'm going to end with a quote from Peyton that he already said. You don't want to be the forest fire. You want to be the match. That's what I'm talking about. Well, thank you guys for being on this, and same time, same week, every single week. And we have a meeting we're going to be doing in Utah here real soon. And I'm so excited about what's coming. So this week, I hope you guys share with at least 5-10 people. If you're not 3x3, that should be the goal for the week. And thank you guys so much for being a part of tonight's call.